Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and it is time for the fourth quarter Discover Catholic Fiction genre recommendations. And this time we are covering young adult fiction, new adult fiction, depending on how you classify it, Catholic science fiction, and Catholic historical fiction. So let's do the one in the category I rarely, if ever read at this point in my life. That would be young adult Catholic fiction. First up would be Past Suspicion by Teresa Heckenkamp, and I've never read anything by this author. I will tell you, doing this series over this year, I have come across her name repeatedly in children's and young adult fiction, so she is a very prolific and popular author. So I will read you the description. Don't trust anyone. So whispers Robin's mother just moments before she dies. As this intriguing story of suspense unfolds, 17-year-old Robin is forced from her California home to live in Wisconsin with an uncle she never knew existed. Here in her mother's hometown, Robin meets two young men, and while unraveling the secrets of her mother's past, becomes involved in a treacherous plot, not realizing the importance of untangling her own life if she is to find a direction for her future. Feelings of betrayal and resentment burn strong. Robin's heart becomes torn as she tries to figure out where she belongs and whom she can trust. Amidst an atmosphere of mystery, amongst the activities of small-town life, and while exploring an abandoned mansion, Robin not only searches for a treasure map, but more importantly, discovers the far-reaching consequences of making the right or wrong decision. And this was published in 2003, and it is 241 pages. Okay, next up is The Relic of Perilous Falls. This is the first book in the Will Wilder series by Raymond Arroyo. And if you don't know, he is a reporter on EWTN, and he also appears on Fox. Fans of Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympians and Peter Larragues's Seven Wonders series will embrace this first epic adventure in a rollicking new series by New York Times bestselling author Raymond Arroyo. Will Wilder is a mischievous, headstrong 12-year-old with an otherworldly gift. He alone can see the nefarious creatures encroaching on Perilous Falls. For nearly a century, a sacred relic has protected his hometown from the raging waters surrounding it. But when Will borrows the relic for his own purposes, he accidentally unleashes an ancient evil. As boats sink and hideous creatures crawl from the rising waters, Will must set things right before it is too late. With the help of his sweet, if lethal, great Aunt Lucille, the curator of a museum of powerful artifacts, Will proves that the actions of one 12-year-old boy can change the world. Okay, so this probably fit better in middle grade fiction, but that's okay. And this is 318 pages and was published in 2016. Next up is The King's Prey. This is the story of Saint Dyfnima of Ireland. And this is historical fiction. It was published in 2017, and it is 316 pages. An insane king, his fleeing daughter, estranged brothers with a scarred past, risking everything to save her from a fate worse than death. Toss in a holy priest and a lovable wolfhound, and get ready for a wild race across Ireland. Will Dymphina escape her deranged father and his sinful desires? For the first time ever, the story of Saint Dymphina is brought to life in this dramatic novel for adults and older teens. With raw adventure, gripping action, and even humor in the midst of dark mental turmoil, Susan Peek's newest novel will introduce you to a saint you will love forever. Teenage girls will see that Dymphinia was just like them, a real girl, while young men will thrill at the heart-stopping danger and meet heroes they can easily relate to. If ever a heavenly friend was needed in these times of widespread depression and emotional instability, this forgotten Irish saint is it. And this was published in 2017. And it's 316 pages. Okay. Next up would be the first book in the Veritas Chronicles by Gina Marinello Sweeney. And the first book is I Thirst. And it is 299 pages and was published in 2013. When Rebecca receives a mysterious note from an unknown source, she has no idea how it will change her life. 20-year-old Rebecca Veritas is used to being different, but has never felt extraordinary. She is a dreamer, living in a world of poetry intermixed with the antics of her unique family and eccentric best friend, Adriana. When she meets Peter, a young student from Canada, who seems somehow to understand her from the start, her perception changes. With intermission, the single word and a mysterious note as inspiration, the two writers embark on an incredible journey to a new world in the form of a story that will ultimately parallel their own lives. Yet, as the story progresses, events remain even ever more shrouded in mystery. When unexpected circumstances in the real world throw their lives in disarray, it will be up to Rebecca to find the true meaning of intermission before the curtain closes on the final act. And it says it's realistic fiction. So, there you go. Okay, next up would be The Arrowbringer by Lisa Mayer. This was published in 2015, and it's 282 pages, and it is the first book in the Althean Journeys series. The Arrowbringer tells the story of Evangeline Lewis, who has just been diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 16. Before she can catch her breath, a mysterious being called the Arrowbringer offers her to spend her last days in peace with her family or save another world called Althea from great evil. She chooses to stay, but then she learns Sean Lawrence, the closest living thing she has to a friend, has gone in her place. His life now hangs in the balance. Now it is up to Evangeline to save Sean and race to fix her mistake as shadows fall over Althea and the new friend she finds there. Even as the disease consumes her body, a new enemy and more imminent perils pursue her. And she must endure all and save Althea while keeping her darkest. Another awkwardly worded Goodread sentence. While keeping her darkest, that all of it is her fault. Hers is the story of salvation. It sounds interesting, so. I love this one. This one is 8 Notes to Nobody by Cynthia T. Toney. This is the first book in the Birdface series. It's 202 pages. It was published in 2014. And I'll read you the story. Anonymous sticky notes, a scheming bully, and a ruined summer send 14-year-old Wendy down a trail of secrets and self-discovery. Wendy Robichaud doesn't care one bit about being popular like her good-looking classmates Tukey and the Sticks until brainiac bully John Monster schemes against her and someone leaves anonymous sticky note messages all over the school. Even the best friend she always counted on, Jennifer, is hiding something and pulling away. But the spring program, abandoned puppies, and high school track team tryouts don't leave much time to play detective. When secrets and failed dreams kick off the summer after 8th grade, will Jennifer still be around to support her as high school starts in the fall? Using humor and offering hope, the story for tweens and young adults delicately addresses issues of bullying, eating disorders, imperfect families, and teen suicide. So, okay. Up next is Awakening by Claudia Cangela McAdams. This was published in 2019 and is 160 pages. Ronnie is a 21st century American teenager who has lost her faith following the deaths of her brother and father. They died saving the life of someone she does not deem worthy, and she doubts the concept of sacrifice. Nothing's worth dying for, she declares, even Jesus' sacrificial death on the cross. When Ronnie takes ill, she awakens in 1st century Jerusalem, 2 days before the crucifixion. Realizing that she knows what's going to happen to Jesus when no one else does, she goes about trying to stop the crucifixion. The question is, can she do it? Should she? And this is specifically labeled on Goodreads as Catholic fiction. So, made my researching job much easier. This is one I need to pick up. This is A Single Bead by Stephanie Engelman. It was published in 2016 and is 208 pages. I know I've talked about this one before, so I'm just going to read the first paragraph. On the anniversary of the plane crash that took the life of her beloved grandmother and threw her own mother into a state of depression, 16-year-old Caitlin Marie Roberts discovers a single bead from her grandmother's rosary. A rosary lost in the crash. A chance encounter with a stranger who tells Caitlin that a similar bead saved her friend's life launches Caitlin and her family on a quest to find the other missing beads. I'm very intrigued, especially since October is the month dedicated to the Rosary in Catholicism. It's right on point. And I couldn't talk about young adult Catholic fiction without mentioning Carolyn Asbach. This is Rightfully Ours. It is 328 pages and was published in 2017. A coming-of-age story of first love, buried treasure, and discovering some things are worth the wait. 16-year-old Paul Porter's relocation to Pennsylvania is a temporary move during his dad's deployment. Or so he and his brother think, until devastating news lands on their doorstep. Paul's new home with the Muellers provides solace, especially in the form of Rachel, his friend and confidant. Their abiding friendship deepens as they work side by side to uncover what could be lost treasure. Will they acquire the strength of character and virtue to take only what rightfully belongs to them? Or are they in way over their heads with more than a few lost artifacts at stake? So, there is a lot of young adult Catholic fiction. I barely scratched the surface, but like I said, this is not a category of fiction that I read frequently, and thus I don't have any true personal recommendations. So, there you go. Okay, next up. Science fiction. And first up is a book I really want to read. I don't yet own it, but I need to rectify that. That is Exogenesis by Peko Gaskovsky. I undoubtedly butchered that, but it was published by Ignatius Press in 2023 and is 331 pages. Out of the collapse of old America rises Lantua, a glittering 1,000-mile metropolis where drones patrol the sky and AI algorithms reward social behavior. That sounds frightening. The most compliant citizens enjoy the greatest privileges. The poorest struggle to rise up the echelon system, and criminals are subjected to brain modification. Birthing and genetic quality are controlled through mass embryonic selection, with fetuses growing outside the body in artificial wombs. A technology known as exogenesis. But rebellion is brewing. Lantua struggles to control the Benedictes, a rule religious people who refuse to obey one-child regulations. Each February, Field Commander Malin Kivala oversees the forced sterilization of Benedictine teenagers, a duty she carries out with unflinching zeal. But this year comes with a shock. After escaping an ambush by insurgents, Malin returns to the city to choose one of over 300 embryos to be her child, only to come face to face with a secret that will tear her life apart and alter the course of her civilization. Yeah, I need to read this book. Okay. I own this on Kindle. I probably need to pick this up physically. And when I was doing the research for this video, this book kept coming up as having distinct Catholic themes, why not being a religious fiction book. That is Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This is the first book in the Hyperion Cantos series. It was first published in 1889, and it is 500 pages. And I will say that this is not going to be for everybody. This is undoubtedly on the grimdark side of science fiction, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I am very intrigued to dive into this and discover the Catholic themes that repeated reviews have mentioned. I'm just fascinated. So I will read you the description. On the world called Hyperion, beyond the law of the hegemony of man, there waits the creature called the Shrike. There are those who worship it. There are those who fear it. And there are those who have vowed to destroy it. In the Valley of the Time Tombs, where huge brooding structures move backward through time, the Shrike awaits them all. On the eve of Armageddon, with the entire galaxy at war, 7 pilgrims set forth on a final voyage to Hyperion, seeking the answers to unsolved riddles of their lives. Each carries a desperate hope and a terrible secret, and one may hold the fate of humanity in his hands. So, between the Catholic themes, the Canterbury Tales set in space vibe, I need to dive into that book. I need to dive in. Okay, this is Now and at the Hour of Our Death by J.S.B. Morse. This is 423 pages and was published in 2013. Mary Credence wants to be a modern-day Joan of Arc, battling the skeptical world around her. But when the ardent virgin finds herself pregnant, she's thrust into a much bigger fight than she ever imagined. Is Mary hiding a romantic tryst in an effort to protect her father's political career, or is her baby a true modern miracle? With the help of a talented writer and a surprising medical finding, Mary attempts to convince the world of her gift and to convert a nation of cynics into believers. Now and at the Hour of Our Death challenges our notions of faith and science, all while asking the eternal question, what do you believe? Next up is I Am Margaret by Corinna Turner. This could have fit in the young adult section, but I put it here specifically. This is the first book in the I Am Margaret series. I have read this book. I absolutely love this book. I will tell you, this is a very Catholic book. It's a very hard-hitting book. And yet, I couldn't stop reading. There are some very difficult scenes in this book. So if you are sensitive, be forewarned. It was first published in 2014 and it is 307 pages. In Margot's world, if you don't pass your sorting at 18, you are recycled. Literally. Margaret Virali dreams of marrying the boy she loves and spending her life with him. But she's part of the underground network of believers. And with the persecution that carries the death penalty, there's just one other problem. She's going to fail the sorting. But a chance to take on the system ups the stakes beyond mere survival. Now she has to break out of the facility or face the worst martyrdom of all. Conscious dismantlement. I loved this book. I have book 2 on my Kindle. So, I highly recommend it. Okay. Up next would be the first book in the New Sun trilogy. This is my bind up of books 1 and 2. This is The Shadow of the Torturer by Gene Wolfe. Again, this is hard-hitting Catholic themes, but it's not an overtly religious text. I will read you the description. This was first published in 1980. The Shadow of the Torturer is the first volume in the 4-volume series. It is the tale of young Severin, an apprentice in the guild of torturers on the world called Earth, exiled for committing the ultimate sin of his profession, showing mercy towards his victim, and follows his subsequent journey out of his home city of Nessus. I have started this book. It is incredibly well written and detailed, and I am here for it. So, there you go. Okay, next up is a book I have not yet purchased, but I'm going to. That is The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. It was published in 1896. It's 419 pages. In 2019, humanity finally finds proof of extraterrestrial life when a listening post in Puerto Rico picks up an exquisite singing from a planet that will come to be known as Rakat. While United Nations diplomats endlessly debate a possible first contact mission, the Society of Jesus quietly organizes an 8-person scientific expedition of its own. What the Jesuits find is a world so beyond comprehension that it will lead them to question what it means to be human. It's the first book in the series. There's 2 books in the series. I need to know. I need to know. Okay. Next up is Our Lady of Artalex. It is the first book in the Deserted Vineyard series by Andrew Gilsmith. I love this cover. It is intriguing. It was published in 2022. It's 483 pages. And I'll read you the description. World leaders are on edge when reports start coming in of next generation androids having strange, apocalyptic visions of a lady in white. But when an artifact belonging to the wealthiest man in Africa shows up at Our Lady of Nigeria Basilica claiming to be possessed, the stakes are raised. The Vatican sends Father Gabriel Serafin, an exorcist who left behind a brilliant career as a neuroscientist, to Benin City to investigate and to figure out who is behind what must surely be a hack. The timing couldn't be worse. Rome is on the verge of reconciliation with the Chinese Economic Interest Zone after a 50-year Cold War, and the Chinese are particularly sensitive about so-called apparition. Seraphin quickly finds himself caught up in conspiracy of global and possibly supernatural dimensions. To discover the truth and save not only humanity, but the Artalex themselves, Seraphin enlists the aid of tough-as-nails Imperial Praetor Namono Mambu. Seraphin and Mambu are helped by guilt-racked Filipino emperor, a taciturn caliph, and a Uyghur Sufi named Iham Tawaldi. And I am butchering names, I am sorry. as they race against time to stop centuries-old plot that could end humanity as we know it. Our Lady of Artelix is a mind-bending supernatural science fiction novel where the exorcist meets Westworld with a light dusting of Snow Crash. I am very intrigued. Very intrigued. Okay. Recent purchase. That is The Canticle for Leibowitz by Walter M. Miller Jr. This was first published in... When was it first published? 1959. It's 334 pages. There is a book 2 after this. I'll read you the description. The atomic flame deluge was over. The earth was dead. All knowledge was gone. In a hellish, barren desert, a humble monk unearths a fragile link to a 20th century civilization. A handwritten document from the blessed St. Leibowitz that reads, pound pastrami, canned kraut, 6 bagels, bring home for Emma. Could this holiest of relics hold the key to humanity's salvation? I have heard nothing but praise for this book. I am very, very, very intrigued because that description just tickles the brain cells. So, and another one that I have read, that is Mark Maker by Mary Jessica Woods. This was published in, hang on, let me set down my coffee here. Oof. I want to say 2023. 2022. I have read this. This is a science fiction, fantasy, blur the lines mashup. It's very enjoyable. It is more personal opinion. Leans more towards Orthodox than it does Catholic, but and there's the Catholicism, the Orthodoxy, however you want to describe it, in this book is allegorical, not overt, but I will read you the back. For the Noxian people, tattoos define identity. They commemorate birth, ancestry, accomplishments, even crimes. As a tattoo artist living on an ancient generation ship, Marakel Serex has sworn to record the truth. So when he becomes an unwilling accomplice in the banishment of an innocent man, he is horrified that he has broken his oath. And his eyes are open to the misery of the underbelly, the realm of the outcasts. Despite the risk to himself, the young mark maker secretly begins helping the ship's exiles. But more trouble is brewing. The Serex Guild, which regulates the ceremonial tattoos, engages in a power struggle with the Ascendants, a domineering political faction. And the conflict threatens to destroy the fragile peace among the Noxian clans. Amidst this discord, an enigmatic artist known as Hazarox singles out Marakel to be his apprentice for a hidden reason of his own. As Marakel ventures deeper into a maze of political strife and ancient clan secrets, he realizes that his pursuit of justice may not only cost his reputation, it may cost him his life. It ends on a cliffhanger. I know that at one point book 2 was in the works. I've heard nothing further, but it is a good, clean, faithful science fiction fantasy read. So, there you go. And our last category for Discover Catholic Fiction . Historical fiction. First up would be The Weary Traveler by S.R. DaCosta and Sandra Sparkler. And it was published in 2023. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. A great battle is being fought between good and evil. In a world and in the unseen realm, But where do we stand? How are we able to fight with a supernatural being who is not visible to the eye? This book gives a perspective on our daily spiritual combat. It is set on the exotic island of Zanzibar, which attracts droves of tourists from around the world every year. The stunning white sand beaches, the bright blue and turquoise waters, and the warm tropical weather are all pleasing to the eye and rejuvenating to the soul. But mostly unbeknownst to the people who visit is what the locals have known for ages. There are supernatural forces at play on the island. Will one priest, pulled out of his comfort zone in the United States, be able to help fight this battle and get the people out of the clutches of the Prince of Darkness? Can humanity win this warfare? And it was published in 2017. I thought it sounded interesting. Next up is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. I read this way back in the day. It was published in 1980. The movie is fantastic. The book is amazing. It is 552 pages of perfection. All I can say is if you haven't read it, go pick it up. Don't be intimidated by the length. Watch the movie. Fall in love. The year is 1327. Franciscans in a wealthy Italian abbey are suspected of heresy, and Brother William of Baskerville arrives to investigate. When his delicate mission is suddenly overshadowed by 7 bizarre deaths, Brother William turns to the logic of Aristotle, the theology of Aquinas, and the empirical insights of Roger Bacon to find the killer. He collects evidence, deciphers secret symbols and coded manuscripts, and digs into the eerie labyrinth of the abbey. Armed with a wry sense of humor and a ferocious curiosity, this book is so good, it's one I would reread. That tells you something. Next up is The End of the Affair by Graham Greene. It was first published in 1951. Yes, Fireball, it's a cat. How incredibly scary. And it's 160 pages. And it's currently available on Kindle Unlimited. This is a record of hate far more than love, writes Maurice Bendrix in the opening passages of The End of the Affair. And it is a strange hate indeed that compels him to set down the retrospective account of his adulterous affair with Sarah Miles. Now, a year after Sarah's death, Bendrix seeks to exercise the persistence of his passion by retracing its course from obsessive love to love-hate. At first, he believes he hates Sarah and her husband Henry. Yet, as he delves deeper into his emotional outlook, Bendrix's hate shifts to the God he feels has broken his life, but whose existence at last he comes to recognize. I need to read. Okay, next up is The Cana Mystery by David Beckett. This was published in 2013. I own this on Kindle, and I will read you the description. Digging in the heart of the vast desert, archaeologists unearth something that will change history. Legend tells of an ancient code no mortal man can read. Summoned from grad school in Boston, brilliant Ava Fisher might be the only person alive with the skills and attributes necessary to unlock a secret that slept for centuries. Chased by ruthless criminals, terrorists, and fanatics, Ava must rely on her keen wits and a few loyal companions to survive. Can she evade danger long enough to solve the Cana mystery? Up next would be A Morbid Taste for Bones by Elias Peters. This is the first book in the Brother Cadfael series. It was first published in 1977. I have read all of these. I love them all. The first one is 197 pages. In a remote Welsh village of Gwentherin lies the grave of Saint Winifred. Now, in 1137, the ambitious head of Shrewsbury Abbey has decided to acquire the sacred remains for his Benedictine order. Native Welshman, Brother Cadfael, is sent on the expedition to translate and finds the rustic villagers of Gwentherin passionately divided by the Benedictines' offer for the saint's relics. Canny, wise, and all too worldly, he isn't surprised when his taste for bones leads to bloody murder. The leading opponent to moving the grave has been shot dead with a mysterious arrow, and some say Winifred herself held the bow. Brother Cadfael knows that a carnal hand did the killing, but he doesn't know what his plan to unearth a murderer may dig up a case. But what he doesn't know, that his another awkward sentence. But what he doesn't know is that his plan to unearth a murderer may dig up a case of love and justice, where the wages of sin may be scandal or Cadfael's own ruin. I loved this book. Okay, up next is In This House of Breed by Rumer Godden. I own this one too. It was published in 1969 and is 672 pages. This extraordinarily sensitive and insightful portrait of religious life centers on Philippa Talbot, a highly successful professional woman who leaves her life among the London elite to join a cloistered Benedictine community. That is the entire description. That is all I need to know. Again. Okay. Up next would be Black Robe by Brian Moore. I have read Brian Moore before. I don't own this one, but I will pick it up. This is 256 pages and was published in 1985. His name is Father Laforgue, a young Jesuit missionary come from Europe to the New World to bring the Word of God to the heathen. He is given minimal aid by the governor of the vast territory that is proudly named New France, but is, in reality, still ruled by the Huron, Iroquois, and Algonquin tribes who have roamed it since the dawn of time, and whom the French call savages. His mission is to reach and bring salvation to an isolated Huron tribe decimated by disease in the far north before incoming winter closes off his path to them. His guides are a group of savages who mock his faith and their pledges, even as they accept muskets as their payment. Excuse me, my voice is going. Father Laforgue is about to enter a world of pagan power and sexual license, awesome courage, and terrible cruelty that will test him to the breaking point, both as a man and a priest, and alter him in ways he cannot dream. In weaving a tautly, suspenseful tale of physical and spiritual adventure in a wilderness frontier on the cusp of change, Brian Moore has written a novel that rivals Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness in its exploration of the confrontation between Western ideology and native peoples, and its meditation upon good and evil in the human heart. I loved the Brian Moore I read, so I am very much looking forward to that. There's no description for this, but it is written by a very well-known Catholic. This is Citadel of God, a novel about Saint Benedict by Louis de Wool. It was published in 1959 and is 345 pages. And I can't believe there's not a description. Hang on, let me see if I can find one. Not much of a description, but it comes from a comment, so... This novel is not only about the legendary Saint Benedict of Nursia, but also the historical circumstances of his time. While the Roman Empire of the West had fallen to the Goths, the Roman Empire of the East was still alive under Emperor Justinian. Much of the novel is about the attempted overthrow of the Goths in Italy. So, yeah, I'm interested. It's worth picking up. He has a back catalog I'm very interested in. I just picked one at random. Next up would be The Cardinal by Henry Morton Robinson. It was published in 1950. Ooh, hope everybody's okay. That was a fire engine. It is 530 pages. I'll read you the very short blurb. The daily trials and triumphs of Stephen, and that would be EMS. The daily trials and triumphs of Stephen Fermoil from the working class suburbs of Boston drive him to become first a parish priest, then secretary to a cardinal, later a bishop, and finally a wearer of the red hat. I'm very interested in this book. Very, very interested in this book. Okay. Next up is another one I'm incredibly interested in. This is Treason, a Catholic novel of Elizabethan England by Dina Hunt. It was published in 2013. It is a whopping 208 pages. And I'm only going to read you a couple sentences because it has an incredibly long description for an incredibly short novel. As Stephen Long steps ashore in England one grey dawn in May 1581, he wonders how many more Catholics will have to die to make Queen Elizabeth feel secure. Involuntarily, he trembles at the thought that soon he may be numbered among them. For in the days ahead, each time Stephen hears confession or celebrates Mass, he commits yet another act of high treason against the British Crown, for which Queen Elizabeth's swift penalty is gruesome torture and painful death. So, it's available on Kindle Unlimited. It's worth a try. Okay, next up is The Bench by Linda Rollins. It is the first book in the Rocky Meadows mystery series. It was published in 2011, and it's 232 pages. Rocky Meadows, Vermont seemed to be a quiet little town until people started dying or showing up in the emergency room under mysterious circumstances. Dr. Amy Daniels is a trauma surgeon who recently moved to Rocky Meadow after a family tragedy. There she meets Father Michael Loretta, a psychologist priest who counsels troubled clergy and a pastor of the famous Rocky Meadow Retreat House. Together they save lives and souls and try to solve a mystery before they become the next target of a greedy killer. Will they be able to put a stop to this deadly rampage? The unexpected conclusion awaits in The Bench. And there are 3 books in this series. Okay. And there's no description of this book. I just happened to pull this one. I own this. This is Dear and Glorious Physician by Taylor Caldwell. I own this on Kindle, by the way. It's 560 pages. It was published in 1958. It is the living story of St. Luke, man of medicine. And I love Taylor's writing. I absolutely love her ability to weave a story. It's fantastic. This is The Oyster Catcher of Southwark by Erica Colohan. This is dual timeline historical fiction between Philadelphia in 1897 and present day. I've read this description multiple times, and the next up would be To Crown with Liberty by Cara Nuello. Taylor and I were going to buddy read this in July, and life got in the way, so we haven't read it yet. But this is set in Revolutionary France in New Orleans in 1795. So, again, high on my list. And This is the second book in the beloved Molly Chase series by Rhonda Ortiz. This is Adrift. I love the cover. I know that she has submitted the final edits for book 3. Hopefully it's on the 2026 publishing calendar. You know I will be reading it. So you have time to catch up and be current. Book 1 is in pieces. Book 2 is adrift. And you know that I have called this masterclass of historical fiction. It is accurate. It is well written. It is immersive. It is engaging and memorable. And where one book leaves off, the next book picks up. And it's Revolutionary War America. I will link my review videos for the series down below. It is highly beloved by me. Okay, so that is the third quarter recommendation. So let's do a brief glimpse into the Catholic books I purchased from the third quarter and part of my birthday haul. So I'm not going to talk about anything in great detail. I did pick up a set of 5 books of the Ralph McInerney series set at the University of Notre Dame. These are very hard to come by. So first up is the Book of Kills. These are not, that is not the first book in the series, it's the first book available. Next up would be Emerald Isle. This is Green Thumb. Irish Alibi. And last one I picked up is Shamrock. And as time goes on, it is harder and harder to find physical copies of McInerney's books, the Father Dowling series, University of Notre Dame series, his standalone stuff, his nonfiction. It's not all available on Kindle either, or Kobo or Nook, whatever. So I pick it up when I see it. I don't think twice. They are comfort reads for me. They are just pure enjoyment. And I have started the, I always forget the name of Children of Stone. Is that the name of this series? I believe this is the Children of Stone series. If it's not, I will put the name down below. These are books 4, 5, and 6 out of 7. So this is Father Elijah. This is Sophia House. And Elijah in Jerusalem. And these are published by Ignatius Press. I need to read these. They are historical, dystopian, end of the world kind of stuff. So I'm very, very interested in those. And okay, the rest is nonfiction. This is Portraeus Romanus by, who is this by? Thomas Horn and Chris Putnam. The Final Pope is here. This was published in 2012. So we know that's not true. I will read you the back. For for more than 800 years, Catholic and evangelical scholars have pointed to the dark augury having to do with the last pope. The prophecy taken from St. Malachi's prophecy of the popes is among the list of verses predicting each of the Roman Catholic popes from Pope Constantine II to the final pope, Peter the Roman, whose reign heralds the beginning of great apostasy, followed by a great tribulation. According to this prophecy, which was hidden away in the Vatican for hundreds of years, the next pope, following Benedict XVI, will be the false prophet who leads the world's religious communities into embracing the political leader known as the Antichrist. Unfortunately, as readers will learn, time for avoiding Peter the Roman just ran out. Petrus Romanos reveals for the very first time, disclosed the hidden history behind the prophecy of the popes, revealed the 60-year-old Jesuit codex predicting the arrival of Petrus Romanus in 2012, found the mysterious lost book that John Hogue, the last pope, said was gone forever, what Jonathan Edwards believed about the coming of Antichrist in the year of 2012, the bizarre occult connection to the assassination of Father Edward Kunz, Catholic seers who warned of his coming and died under mysterious circumstances, the secret of Malachi Martin and the enthronement of Lucifer at the Vatican, the fourth secret of Fatima and other suppressed Marian edicts or Marian texts, 2012 strange attractors, a whole lot more than the Mayans saw this date, the secret in the U.S. Capitol and the Vatican tied to 2012, and the dragon. So, more curiosity than anything. Chrissy's Purple Library pointed this one out to me, so I'm going to read it as historical fiction. The Malachi prophecy is widely debunked. I will link a video down below talking about Malachi prophecy if I can find it quickly on YouTube. So I'm going to read that as historical fiction, even though it's not sold as that. Okay. Up next would be the two books for the In Memoriam for Charlie Kirk, and I will link that video down below as well. Up first is the Marian option. These are both by the same author, who is Carrie Gress, and the second book in November is the Anti-Mary Exposed, Rescuing the Culture from Toxic Femininity. This one starts on the 14th of October. This one starts on the 14th of November. They are both short, just over or just under 200 pages each. They are not going to be long, reads. So last up would be a book by Rhonda's husband. This is the Nicene Creed by Jared Ortiz and Daniel A. Keating, a scriptural, historical, and theological commentary. And I will read you the little blurb on the back. Exemplifies what Christian instruction at its best can be. This informed and accessible introduction to the Nicene Creed explains how the Creed is anchored in the Bible and how it came to be written and confessed in the early history of the Church. So, they are both PhDs. Jared teaches at the Catholic University of America, and Daniel teaches at Oxford. So, I am looking forward to this. This is, not counting the index, just over 200 pages. It's full of, everything you would expect a scholarly work to be filled with. I'm looking forward to this. This is one I'm going to take my time with. So, okay. That wraps up Discover Catholic Fiction Genres for 2025 and my Catholic book haul. So, I hope you found something interesting to read, something new to you. If there's something I missed in one of these categories, please leave a comment down below, or better yet, on Discord, the link to which can be found in the description box. And I appreciate you watching. I hope you have found Catholic fiction recommendations to sustain you for quite some time. And please leave a comment, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist.